President, please be seated. The chamber is now back in session, and I gave the floor to the Defense Counsel for Nuon Chea to continue putting questions to the civil party. Liu Savanna. Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, Madam Civil Party. I would like to continue my questions. Before the break, you told the co-prosecutor that you knew that your husband were a handicapped person only after your wedding. So my question to you is that whether your colleagues and friends who saw that your husband was a handicapped person, whether they joke or make fun of him. Answer. After they learned that I had a disabled husband, they said that they were pity of me because I had a handicapped husband. Question. When you realized that your husband was a handicapped person, how did you feel at that time? Answer. I did not think only about his disability. I also thought about my general feeling about my marriage. Regardless of my husband was handsome or not, I did not feel happy because it was a marriage ceremony that was not arranged by my parents. Question. What about on the day of your marriage? Did you notice any couples who refused to get married? Answer. On the day of my marriage, I did not see any one of them there to refuse. But I noticed that the women who were wedded on the same day with mine cried, and I did not know the feeling of or the reason why they cried. Question. You said earlier that Prum Yun, who were also arranged to marry, was that person married on the same day with yours? Answer. I did not pay attention whether the person got married on the same day with mine, because the person was in a different ministry from mine. Therefore, I did not pay much attention whether the person got married on the same day with mine. I did not know the names of those who got married on the same day with mine. Question. You said that you saw those women weeping. You said on Thursday that you thought that all of you wept because you thought that you would be taken away to be killed. So you think that they all wept because they felt afraid that they would be taken away to be killed, or they wept because they did not want to get married? Answer. When we arrived, we all wept because we felt afraid we felt afraid that we would be taken away to somewhere. So we all were frightened. Question. So you all wept because of whether they were frightened or they were reluctant to get married. So can you clarify on this point? Answer. The 2 or 3 women who were nearby me, who were all wept, thought that they did not have idea of where they would be taken to because they were not informed about the ceremony. They did not get information whether that they would be arranged to get married. So when they were weeping, Ren came in and said, these women were arranged to have husbands, and why are you weeping? And so we discussed among ourselves that our marriage did not have the attendance of our parents. And then we were called in to sit in rows. Question. You said that for you, you did not dare to object or oppose because you felt afraid. So can you tell us about your feeling? Answer. Let me explain about my fearful feeling. During the regime, no one dared to oppose the order. Anyone who received the order from Angkar must fulfill the duty. For example, on the day of the marriage, when we were ordered to marry, I did not dare to oppose because I felt afraid that I would be killed. Because there were cases that happened before that about people who were killed for opposing the order. I had no choice besides weeping. So after my marriage, I begged my husband not to touch me. I wept and told him, please not to touch me, because I followed my father's words. He told me, do not let any man touch you beside the man who is arranged to marry you by us. Liswana interrupted. Madam Civil Party, my question is not directing at the time after your marriage yet. It's focusing on the day of your marriage. That is about your feeling. You said that you felt fearful not to oppose. And that's why I asked you to explain to us clearly what did you fear of? Answer. I said that I felt fearful, particularly because I would be killed if I opposed. The wheel of history is moving. If we dare to oppose, we would be in trouble. I did not dare to oppose. I had to accept what is forced upon me. Question. You said that there were cases of people who were killed because they dared to oppose. So can you specify those cases? Answer. I said that I was fearful because there were cases of people who were killed. For example, the case of Prương, Ren, and before Ren, there were also cases of people who were killed but those people I cannot recall their names now, and that was the reason why I felt fearful. I did not see their execution, their being execution, but they disappeared and never returned. So I felt frightened and intimidated. Question, you said about Prương. Prương was married before you or after you? Answer, Comrade Prương got married before me. Question, what about Comrade Ren? Answer, Comrade Ren also got married before me. Question, was the marriage took place long before yours? Answer, I cannot recall how many months the person got married before me. I only knew that the person got married before me. Question, I would like to clarify with you. You told the co-prosecutor that Ren got married and then the person did not get along with the spouse, and as a result the person was taken away and disappeared. But you said that on the day of your marriage, Ren came to scold the weeping women. So your question, your answer is not clear to me. So if the Ren was taken away and killed, so how could the person came to scold the weeping women on the day of your marriage? Answer, President, please hold on.
Thank you. Maybe I didn't understand the questions properly. And the question, I believe, was Prung or Rong, did they get married before her? So maybe the lawyer can have the civil party specify if Rung got married before. But under these conditions, I do not know where this question comes from, because we do not know if Rung was married before, and therefore whether she was there on the wedding day of the civil party. So maybe I missed out on something here.
Lisawana, Mr. President, I think it may be problem with interpretation. I asked her whether Ren got married before her or after her, and civil party answered that she got married before her, but she did not remember how many months it was before her. President, Madam Civil Party, please give your answer. Civil Party, I also would like to clarify. During the time, I did not investigate whether she got along with her spouse or not. But I want to clarify that she got married before me, and on the day of my marriage, she was still there. And later on, she disappeared, and people said that they did not get along with each other. Question, how many months was it after your marriage that Ren disappeared? Answer, to my knowledge, it was not long after my marriage. They said that you had to follow Angkar's order. If you don't, you would have the same fate like Comrade Ren. But I did not know when Ren was arrested. Question, when you when they knew that you did not get along with each other, and they raised about Ren's case, so President interrupted. Please hold on. Answer. They did not know that I did not get along with my husband. They simply gave a general advice that anyone who did not get along with the spouse would have the same fate like Comrade Ren. I did not tell them that I did not get along with my husband. Question. I would like to know how many months was it after your marriage that the meeting was organized, and who presided over that meeting? Answer. It was Comrade Tao. It was Comrade Tao who emphasized that point. Ta said that any comrade who were arranged to get married must follow Angkar's order. Anyone who did not get along with each other would face the same fate like Comrade Ren. Ta was a very cruel person. Ta put a lot of pressure on members of the union. Question. During the time of the meeting, can you tell me how many months was it that the meeting took place after your marriage? Was it before the time you went to live with your husband, or after the time you went to live with your husband? Answer. The meeting took place about 2 months later on, but I cannot recall it clearly. Before my marriage, Ren was still there, but the person disappeared after my marriage, but I did not know when she was arrested. Ta raised the example of Ren's disappearance during the meeting. I did not recall the development of the events clearly because I did not pay much attention to it. Question. Besides Tao's, was there anyone else who talked about Ren's case? Answer. At that time, Tao raised the matter during the meeting, and after we left the meeting, we discussed among ourselves. We asked each other whether Ren really disappeared. And some of us started to conclude that Ren disappeared because she did not get along well with her husband. Because that was what we heard from her. She said that she did not get along well with her husband. Question. So you knew that her disappearance was related to related to the fact that she did not get along well with her husband. So can you clarify this matter? Answer. Let me answer again. Could you please repeat your question? Question. I would like to get clarification from you. During the meeting, Ta did not explain the case in details. It was only after the meeting that you discussed among yourself and you came to a conclusion that Ren disappeared because she did not get along well with her husband. So I would like you to clarify whether her disappearance was because she did not get along well with her husband or because of something else. Answer. During the meeting, Thao said that any female cadre who were arranged to get married had to follow the order of Angkar. Anyone who opposed would face the same fate like Ren. So that was the news I received during the meeting. Question. You said that you felt fearful during your wedding because there were cases of people who disappeared, and you gave an example of Ren. And you said that Ren disappeared after your marriage. So I would like you to talk about your refusal on the day of your marriage. Answer. Regarding my refusal on my marriage, as I told you earlier that when I was told to go to the venue, they did not tell me that I would go there to get married. They simply told me to go there to meet the chiefs. And the reason I refused to get married because I was not informed that I would go and get married. Because I was simply told to go there to meet the chiefs. And once I arrived at the venue, and when I was told that I would be arranged to marry, I wept. If I had known beforehand that I would be arranged to get married to a handicapped person, let's say if I were informed 1 day or 2 days before my marriage, I would escape. But because I had not been informed, I arrived at the venue and they asked me, "Comrade, do you follow the order of Angkar?" And I said, "Yes." I did not know that I would be arranged to get married. Question. You said that if you had known that you would be arranged to get married to a handicapped husband, you would flee. So I would like to ask you that you were unhappy because you had a handicapped husband. Is that correct? Answer. Let me clarify again. As I told you earlier, that I am a Khmer woman. I did not want to get married without the attendance of my parents. I did not mean that I was biased not to marry a handicapped person. I want to emphasize that my general feeling at that time was that I did not want to get married at all.
ឥឡូវដោយសារពេលវេលាសូមចូលសំណួរមួយទៀតទាក់ទងនឹងមិត្តព្រឿង
Because of time constraint, now I would like to ask about Comrade Prương. You said that Prương, after marriage, she did not get along with her spouse, and as a result, she disappeared. Mr. President, I would like to quote from document E3/9820, which question 21, that Madam Civil Party gave to the investigator. President, your question has already been asked by the co-prosecutor. So if you ask that question again, it's gonna be repetitious. So please tell us what new aspect that you would focus on different from the co-prosecutor. Answer, Mr. President. The co-prosecutor quoted from another part of the answer. For my question, I focus on a different part of the answer. Thank you, Mr. President. Madam Civil Party, let me quote. Before my marriage, if there was anyone who dared to oppose the marriage and try to flee, they would be arrested and killed. I saw an example of the case of Comrade Prung. Comrade Prung refused and fled to other cooperatives. End of quote. You said in your testimony that she disappeared because she did not get along with her husband. But in your answer to the investigator, you said that she disappeared because she tried to flee away. So can you clarify on this point? Answer. Let me clarify. It was another person who tried to flee. It was not Comrade Prung. That woman fled to a different cooperatives, but the Khmer Rouge tried to search for her and they found her. So I would like to clarify that the fleeing woman was not Prung. The woman tried to flee from the wedding venue because she had a fiancé at the cooperatives. Question. National Deputy Co-Prosecutor interrupted. Mr. President, when I read answer 21, it says that I saw it happened with female comrade in my unit named Prung. Perhaps I got confused, Mr. President. Thank you. Lisa Vanna, Madam Civil Party. After you were interviewed, did the investigator read the statement for you to confirm? Answer. Yes, the investigator read the statement again, but I did not pay much attention to it. I would like to emphasize that the investigator did read the interview to me, but I cannot recall it and did not pay much attention to it. Question.
She tried to flee and they arrested her. She fled from the union to the cooperative, and that's what you said in your statement about a Prung. What can you say to that? President Civil Party, please observe the microphone. Civil Party, Prung was a unit chief, and a woman that I spoke about was in the unit that Prung was chief. Question. However, in your statement, it is contradicting what you are telling us now, because you gave a specific example and name that is Prung, that she refused to get married and fled from the union to the cooperative. You spoke about Prung and not about the woman in the Prung's unit. Allow me to say it again.
Je crois que la question a déjà été.
I believe the question has already been asked and the Civil Party has already answered the question. I believe the Chamber now has all the elements and it will assess the evidence given by the civil party. I think this line of questioning is entirely repetitive.
បាទ
President, please move on, Council. Council, thank you, Mr. President. Let me move on. On the day of your marriage, can you tell the chamber how many couples that were together? In one of your response, you said that there were 15 couples. However, in another statement, you said there were 12. And allow me to refer to one of your documents, that is E3/60 6407A at EN in Khmer 00580715, in English 00850589, in French. Rather, there is no French translation, and in this document you said that during your wedding events there were only 12 couples. However, in document E3/4905, EN in Khmer is at 00541273. In French, in English rather, 01060690. In French, 00906248. You state that during your wedding there were 12 couples. Can you tell the chamber why there is a discrepancy in your statements regarding this matter? Answer. Allow me to repeat it again. There is the discrepancy between 12 and 15 couples. I spoke about 12 couples when I said that during my wedding there were 15 couples, and after I left the unions, then there was another marriage event where 12 couples got wed. So I do not know whether the person who wrote it down made a mistake between these two separate events of a marriage. Question. After the application forms were filled and you some printed it, were they read aloud to you? Answer. The documents were read out to me. However, as I said from the beginning, my concentration was short, and maybe I did not listen to the full reading, or maybe at the time my mind was somewhere else and I missed that point. And maybe that leads to this discrepancy, and I apologize for that. Question. Again, in relation to your wedding day, you made mention there were representatives who stood up and made their commitments on your behalf. And can you tell the chambers the male and female representatives? Who were they? Answer. On my wedding day, the representatives spoke of their names, but I could not recall them. They talk about the units they came from and their names, but I cannot remember it. My mind was not there to listen to their commitments. So for that reason, I do not remember their names or the units they came from. Question. What about your couples? Did you stand up to make a commitment? Answer. On the day of the wedding, I did not say anything. There was only tear. I did not stand up or make any commitment. Question: in order to refresh your memory, in document E3/6407A in Khmer EAN is at 005807. 15 English 00850589. You state the following: during the wedding, my couples were selected by them to represent other couples in order to make commitment to love one another forever and to respect the party's directions and to always follow the party's path or lines. Do you recall that you actually stand up and make a commitment? And so allow me to clarify it again. It was not me who made a commitment. I said there was a representative who made a commitment on our behalf to acknowledge our marriage. I or my couples did not stand up and make any commitment because during the entire wedding event, there was one male and one female representatives who represented the brides and the grooms, and none of the grooms or the brides themselves made a commitment. As for the parents, there were no parents present, but there was one person who was selected from the section to represent our parents and to make a commitment. So what you said is not correct, and I object to it. Question: allow me to move on. In relation to the year of your marriage, in order for the chamber to seek the truth in this matter, can you tell the chamber the actual date, the actual year of your wedding? Answer: during the regime, we did not have any calendar to refer to. And as I said, I mentioned about the season. At the time, the cotton fruits were ripe. That's when we got married. And we thought of the corresponding month. And I thought that it could happen in November or December that year. And of course, we are not really sure that of the exact month. We only knew from our observation it was the time that cotton fruits were ripe, and it was the full moon week. So when I made mentions about the full moon, then we tried to work out the corresponding month in the calendar, although we can only give out an estimate, and that's what we used. And personally, I knew for certain that it was the time that cotton fruits were ripe, and it was during the full moon week. And that could be in late 1976 or early 1977, since we did not have a calendar to refer to. And that's what I said, and that's what I read, so that we could estimate the corresponding month.
Sorry, Counsel. You have been told by the President to avoid repetitive questions. We get one repetitive question after the other. Could you please try and heed this advice?
Council, it is my observation, since there are discrepancies in her document, sometimes she mentions the year of 1976 and at other times she mentions the year of 1977. Anyway, allow me to move on. Madam Civil Party, you said that after your wedding, there were militiamen who monitored your activities, and that's what you said on Friday last week. If we refer to your document E3/4905 at Khmer 00541273, French 00906248, English is 01060690. You did not specify that you were being monitored by militiamen, and you state that, allow me to quote, 3 days after the marriage, the Khmer rules let me return to my respective work unit. As for my husband, he was sent to work at the Prefecture provincial district, where vehicles were repaired a month. We were allowed to meet each other every month. And you did not mention that you were being monitored by the militiamen in another document, E3/6407A, at Khmer EAN 00580715, and English 00850589. You made mention the following point, that at that time, although I disliked Comrade Kam, who was my husband, I did not refuse. That to refuse, I kept living together until the Khmer Rouge separated us from one another. You also did not mention that you were being monitored by the militiamen. And in your interview with the DC Kam, that is E3/10710 at EN in Khmer 01329217, in English 01337495, French 01337595. You state the following: after the marriage, you did not accept him, and your father advised the son-in-law, and he told me about that. But a man and a woman, after we worked together for a period of time, we find it comfortable. And later on, if we did not do what we were supposed to do, and we would die. He consoled me, and later on we slept together. I became pregnant, and later on my husband was killed. My question to you, Madam Civil Party, is that after you got married, you never mentioned that you were being monitored by the militiamen throughout the night. Why you failed to mention that in this number of documents, and you only mention it in this trial?
Yeah.
Answer. Allow me to clarify the discrepancy in those documents. In those documents, I only answered questions that I were asked. So for that reason, my response was precise and in a short form, so that it's easier for the interviewer to conclude. But here I am being asked to speak in details, so I speak about everything. I said that after the marriage, I was taken through that long building, and I was asked to sleep with my husband. I did not do it, and the militiamen monitored us for the whole night. They monitored us to make sure whether we went along together. I tell lies so that I could get out of the house, so that I would not be accused by the militiamen. I lied to the militiamen, and I kept doing that until the time that I lived in the Union. When he came to visit me, as I said, I was exhausted, so I fell asleep, and he put his hand on my body. Counsel interrupts. You already made mention about that story, so let me move on to another topic. President Counsel, how do you arrange the time between the case upon defense? Counsel, thank you, Mr. President. This morning, the prosecution used 45 minutes. And since the two defense parties, the defense teams have 2 sessions, then we can continue to use the remaining time for early this afternoon, and case upon defense will do that. President, is it possible to try to use as less time as possible, since we have other witnesses? Even if the other parties use time, does not mean that you have to use the equal time if you don't have that question to accommodate the time. So please try to consolidate the time, and don't think that because the prosecution use extra time, then the defense should also use extra time. Counsel, we try to accommodate our sessions within the 2 sessions.
Point was, you have these 2 sessions, but you don't have to fill them by all means. So stick to relevant issues and don't repeat. And if you are done before, you are done before. Doesn't mean you have to fill this time.
Counsel, thank you, Judge. I find it difficult because my questions are all related to her documents where differences exist, and here we are trying to find the truth in this matter. President, you may continue until 11:45. Counsel, thank you. Madam Civil Party, during the first day's testimony, you stated that on the day that you were raped by your husband, you fell asleep. So he got you, he tear off your clothes, and then he raped you. However, in question answer 44 of document E3/9820, you mentioned the following: he chased me into the house and he tore my blouse and bra apart. He hugged me. When I refused, he removed my trousers and his trousers. So here it says that he chased you in the house Why there is this discrepancy? Answer, allow me to clarify so that it is clear for everyone. Initially, that is on the first night, he begged to sleep with me, but I refused. And that was the night that I ran around the house. Inside the house, I wanted to jump down, and he threatened me that if I were to jump down, then I would be arrested. And that happened on the very first night. And later on, after I became exhausted and fatigued and felt sleepy, and that was the time that he raped me, that is while I was sleeping. That is, when I woke up, I saw his hands on my body. When I tried to remove myself from his grip, he tightened his grip. He spoke to me that as husband and wife, we should sleep with one another. And when I refused, then he tore my shirt and pants. He tries to unbutton my shirt. And when he tries to remove my bra, he actually snatched it, and then it was removed. Counsel intervenes. Due to the interest of time, allow me to clarify with you. You said that when you were running inside the house, was it also the day that he also removed or tore your trousers and bras? Answer, on the first night he did not do anything, only me, I was running in the house, and only later on when I was asleep he tore off my blouse. Question, however, in answer 44 of that document you said that he chased me in the house and he tore my blouse and bra apart, so it means that he chased you on that day and he tore your blouse and bra on that day. What is your reaction to that? Answer, that he tore my blouse and bra later on, that is when he raped me. But on the day that he chased me around, he did not rape me that night. Counsel, in the interest of time, allow me to move on. In E3/4905 at EN in Khmer 00541273, you did not mention about the rape, and allow me to quote your statement. One day, Anka took me on a cart to meet my husband. On that day, I was living on Dong Talang village at 10 p.m., but I did not arrive at Precho that night. Next morning, I continued the trip. Khmer Rouge Lee put me in a house where they produce palm sugar. Ye come and Porn advised me to live with my husband as other couples because of the fear of being killed, and then I agreed to do that. So at this point, you did not speak about the rape, but you agreed to the advice by these elders in your document. Could counsel please slow down?
Counsel, slow down. Translation doesn't follow you.
Question, in your DCCAM interview at EN in Khmer 01 329217 and in English 01 33 7395 French 0133 7130. You mentioned the following. He advised my son-in-law and he told me what my father told him, but he says that as a man and a woman who were close to one another, then we would have feeling for one another. And when I was pledged to live with him for 3 months, they knew that if he did not do it, we would die, and he tried to console me. And then as a result, I became pregnant, and he was later on killed. So, Madam Civil Party, you never mentioned that you were raped by your husband. And also in document E3/6407A at E Khmer EN 00541273 in English 008505 89290, you made the following statement. At that time, although I did not like my husband Kyle, I did not dare to refuse. I tried to sleep together, to stay together, until the time we were separated by the Khmer rules. In these three documents, there was nowhere that you mentioned that you were raped by your husband. But it was based on the your husband's words and the advice by the elders. Please react to these statements. Answer. In the three documents, initially we were asked about the rape. I did not say about the rape because I was still shy to speak about it. They spoke about what happened after I was forced. Then I saw briefly that after the news reached my father, he advised him, and that's the end of it. And later on, I did not specify that I were forced because I was still shy. I did not want to speak about my internal issues. And I was not encouraged by the interviewer to not to be shy or to say everything. And that's what I did. So it was not just somebody else's mistake. It's me that I did not speak in details since I still felt shy about what happened. And I mentioned that I was forced to get married during the regime. Question: in your victim information form, who actually filled it out for you, and what explanation was given to you? Answer: when I lodged my complaint with ad hoc, I cannot recall whom actually took my complaint. I will ask questions, but I did not say much because I was shy. Later on, it was with Chang Yu, and I also did not speak in details. I spoke about my background and the hardships that I faced and that I was forced to get married. Council intervenes. And why only now you spoke about rape? Why you did not feel shy? Or were you informed by someone to speak about this issue in this court? Answer: I was told to speak it out and not to feel shy about the rape. I was said that if I still feel shy, then there would be nothing as evidence. And for that reason, I speak everything from the beginning.
Question: how did he know that your husband raped you? I mean, the person who interviewed you. Answer: when I came to give the interview, at that time I submitted my complaint. I said that I was victimized during DK regime, that I was forced to get married. And because of my wordings in the complaints, I was invited for interviews. He asked me, Auntie, are you a witness or civil party? I answer, I am a civil party. And he asked me, what's your complaint about? I gave the answer, it's about my forced marriage. Lee Savanna, I would like to ask you some more questions before I give the floor to my international colleague. After your marriage, can you tell about the behavior or attitude of your husband? Answer. After my marriage, he was an innocent person. He was not brutal. If he was a brutal person, he would rape me on the first day. Later on, I was transferred to live with him, but I want to clarify with you that he was an innocent person. Mr. President, I would like to hand over the floor to my international colleague, President. The time for your team has expired already. The remaining time of 30 minutes is for Defense Counsel for Khieu Samphan. So this remaining time can be used by either of your team.
I have to observe that the other side has used much more time than we have been allotted. Now, of course, that is standard here, but
President, I would like to clarify with you that on Friday we used the time to put question to the civil party until the afternoon. That's why we gave some compensation regarding time. So this morning we used only 15 minutes more than the time planned. It doesn't mean that we wasted the time. The time was used wisely for putting the questions to get the details from the civil party. We therefore try to delay or extend 5 minutes, 10 minutes or 15 minutes in order to compensate with the times that we have lost. And I would like to also accept for being so lenient with time, but from now on we have to be very strict with time management. We have seen your smile in a mocking way to us. That's why we have to be now, from now on, to have to be very strict with time.
that's indeed a mocking smile that you observed. I just note that we also are entitled to two sessions, and our session started at 9:45 this morning, so that is 45 minutes, so we should be able to go to 2:15. I don't understand why we are cut. I only actually have one question anyway, so I don't understand why all of a sudden we are being cut from our time. That's an agreement that we have already since 5 years, so I don't understand.
President, we did not cut your time. In fact, we compensated the time. Now we are trying to calculate the time. In the afternoon, there is 45 minutes. Parties have used 45 minutes already, and therefore now we compensated or extend another 15 minutes. So together with another 30 minutes in the afternoon, it will be 45 minutes. So it doesn't mean that I cut your time.
Then it's all a misunderstanding. I thought our time was up, and I think with the permission of the Kirsampan team, I will use our time up until 11:45 with only one or two follow-up questions, Mr. President. Madam Civil Party, good morning. I have only one or two questions, and that's the following. I have observed I would like to call a strong discrepancy between, on the one hand, your DC Chem interview and your early civil party application, and on the other hand, your testimony in 2014 and today and last week. Summarizing it very briefly, in your DC Chem interview and your first application, you did not speak about rape. You said your husband was a kind person. You said nothing about people telling you to consummate your marriage. You said nothing about monitoring. And all of a sudden, in 2014, and now you start talking about violent behavior from your husband, rape, etc. So that's something I don't understand, this discrepancy on vital elements of your story. Can you explain that to me?
Monsieur le Président.
Mr. President, if you please allow me to raise an objection, or rather an observation. I think it will be up to the Chamber to decide whether this answer is useful or not. I think the Civil Party answered the Nuncha National Council already. I simply wanted to alert the Chamber to the fact that these documents do not have the same nature at all, and therefore it's impossible to compare a Civil Party application that was taken by an NGO in very special conditions to a supplementary information sheet and a WRI of an interview with the OCIJ. So if the Chamber considers that the question is legitimate, I think the Civil Party is perfectly able to answer this question. But once again, we should keep in mind the difference that exists between the documents that are mentioned by our colleague.
And perhaps additionally, because it struck me repetitive too, basically the question was answered two questions before. So could you perhaps clarify what additional aspect you see? Because that's exactly the question asked by your National Council.
As I understood her answer to be, is the questions were not asked. Therefore, I didn't talk about it.
No, she said I was shy at the time, and it took me a while to overcome that and talk. That's the answer I heard.
Shy, maybe I understand in relation to rape. Okay, I can understand that. But why say to DC Chem, my spouse was kind and we were always okay living with each other? That has nothing to do with shyness, I would say. The monitoring has nothing to do about shyness.
Yes, but all of this has been asked. The monitoring has been the subject of a specific question, not quite sure about the kind husband at the moment.
Well, it's a leading up question, ultimately to whether she was coached or in any form convinced by ad hoc to say the things that she is been saying now.
But then ask the question.
No, but first I think I'm not satisfied yet with her explanation as to the shyness. Her husband being a kind person, doing nothing violent to her, has nothing to do with shyness.
President, please give a clear please give a clear stance of your statement, so So what is your position right now, whether you observe or oppose or what? Because the time need to be used wisely.
អញ្ជើញលោកមេធាវី Victor Kope
President, the floor is given to Counsel Victor Kope.
Madam Civil Party, although the question has been asked, I still do not understand why it was that you said certain crucial things in relation to your marriage and the consummation of your marriage, not to DC Cam, and you didn't write it in your application. You said shyness was a factor. I'm not sure if I follow, but fine. But why say that your husband was a kind person and we were always okay living with each other? Why did you say that to DC Cam and not to the investigators or today in court?
Civil party, let me clarify regarding my answer that I gave during the interview. I said that my husband was a kind person. Yeah, it was like what I testify here, that if my husband had been a cruel person, he would have raped me on the first night. He would not have forgiven me and allow me to stay free. He would not, if he had been a cruel person, he would not have delayed the time. I try to explain so because I want to say that he was a kind person. He was and was also a thoughtful person.
Well, let me ask my final question then. Why did you write in your application that you finally agreed to consummate your marriage? Why did you say that you agreed and now you say you are forced?
Let me clarify regarding my agreement. It happened after I was raped. After I was raped, I did not agree. But he tried to explain to me that Khmer culture is about keeping virginity. And he told me that why do you still try to keep your virginity? Because you and I were arranged to be husband and wife already. He tried to explain to me in a convincing ways in order for us to remain living together. So based on my feeling of fear, and together with his words of convincing me, I thought to myself that if I lost my virginity already, I had to make sure that I had to keep myself survive, and that was why I became pregnant and survived.
Final question, Madam Civil Party. Is there anyone other than people from DC Cam or the investigators that can somehow confirm or corroborate your story? Anyone that you told the story of what happened to you right after 79? Is there anyone out there who can, even on parts, confirm your story.
ខ្ញុំសូមបញ្ជាក់
There was no one. I was the one who gave the answer, but my answer was based on the particular kind of questions. So the questions were asked to me in stages, so I also gave my answer in stages. No one forced me to give such an answer. I myself gave such an answer. President, it is now convenient time for lunch break. The chamber will take a break from now until 1:30. Court officer, please assist the civil party at the waiting room reserved for her during the break time and invite her back into the courtroom at 1:30. Security personnel are instructed to bring Kil Sompon to the waiting room downstairs and bring him back to the courtroom before 1:30. The